My stupid lav mic from college isn't working. Now I gotta use this snowball and clutch onto it the whole time. I think it'll be fine. Now, as an avid fan of Pokémon, I've seen videos that explain all Pokémon type matchups. However, another one of my favorite video game franchises, Mega Man, also has a rock, paper, scissors-like weakness system, and some of the weaknesses are a bit more obtuse than others. So I was thinking, why don't I try to explain all of the Robot Master weaknesses in the Mega Man Classic series? I mean, I know a lot about Mega Man Classic, and I have the assistance of the internet and the sacred texts! So, I was pretty sure I could take on that task. You know, to make remembering the weakness cycles in these games just a bit easier for people. Please note, for the purpose of this video, Robot Master is defined as any boss character in the Mega Man Classic series that can be selected from the boss select screen and appears in the Robot Master field guide. I am not doing Wily stage bosses, or the Mega Man killers, or Robot Masters from obscure Japan-only games.
Also, this is my first YouTube video, so don't expect it to be some kind of masterpiece.
So, with all that said and done, here's every Robot Master weakness explained. Let's start off with the one that started it all, Mega Man 1. Cutman is weak to the Super Arm because the Super Arm allows Mega Man to throw boulders, i.e. rocks, and as we all know, rock beats scissors. Elecman is weak to the Rolling Cutter because electricity is usually transferred through wires that can be cut with sharp enough scissors. Iceman is weak to the Thunder Beam because, electricity is hot, so the ice melts into water, and water just makes electricity stronger, which is why you should never take a bath with a toaster. It's a pretty weak reasoning, considering that ice is far less conductive than water. Fireman is weak to the Ice Slasher for a couple different reasons. The most prominently circulated reason is that hot temperatures cause ice to melt into water, and water puts out a fire. However, I've come up with a reasoning that is just as good. Now tell me, how do you treat a burn? You apply something cold, like cool water. What's one of the best ways to treat heat stroke? Immersion in ice water. How do you beat the heat on a hot summer day, aside from staying inside, of course? You consume something cold, dive into a cold pool, or use a fan to direct cold air towards you. Ice may not necessarily negate fire, but cold negates heat. Bomb Man is weak to the firestorm because while bombs nowadays can be detonated in a variety of ways, the bombs that Bomb Man uses are the classic cartoon bomb variety, which are ignited by lighting a fuse with a match. Thus, throwing fire at Bomb Man would cause his bombs to go off at the wrong time and hurt him instead of you. And Gutsman is weak to the Hyper Bomb because Gutsman's main method of attack is throwing boulders, and one of the best ways to break through stone is with explosives. Also, according to the Robot Master field guide, Bomb Man's bombs are capable of doing significant damage to his armor. Now, Mega Man Powered Up, a remake of Mega Man 1, introduced two new Robot Masters, Time Man and Oil Man, so they had to redo the weakness cycle. Cutman's weakness to the Super Arm and Fireman's weakness to the Ice Slasher were kept, but all the others were changed, so I'll try my best to explain those too. Bomb Man is weak to the Rolling Cutter because, at least in the movies, a bomb can be disarmed by cutting the right wires. Iceman is weak to the Hyper Bomb because, well, I guess you can destroy ice using a bomb, but there are far more practical methods of breaking ice. Oil Man is weak to the Firestorm because oil is flammable. Elecman is weak to the Oil Slider because oil is used to make plastic, and plastic is an insulator, meaning it doesn't conduct electricity. It could also be a reference to mineral oil, which is also an insulator. Time Man is weak to the Thunder Beam because lightning is a common cause of power outages. When a power outage happens, digital clocks reset and revert to 12 o'clock, which means that whoever owns the clock has to manually reset the time. Trust me, I know this from personal experience. Gutsman is weak to the Time Slow because... this one's tricky. Okay, I think I got something. Most of Gutsman's lines in Powered Up relate to his line of work, construction, so one could assume he's very passionate about his job. He also seems to dislike people that try to interfere with his job. So, a weapon that literally affects the flow of time would remind him of the time he is wasting by fighting Mega Man instead of, doing work. Now on to Mega Man 2, my personal favorite in the series, if you couldn't tell. The weaknesses in this game are far more irregular. First of all, while 1's weakness cycle was a neat and tidy circle, 2's is not nearly as neat. Second, several robot masters in this game have 2 weaknesses instead of 1. Keep that in mind. Metal Man is weak to the Quick Boomerang and his own weapon, the Metal Blade. His weakness to the Quick Boomerang may be because Metal Man is fought on a conveyor belt, and if you move really fast in the opposite direction of a conveyor belt, you can avoid being pushed back by it. That's why treadmills exist. As for his weakness to the Metal Blade, there's a lot to explain. First of all, there's a meta reason why Metal Man is weak to his own weapon. In an interview with Hitoshi Ariga, Akira Kitamura, one of the key game developers behind the first 3 Mega Man games, said that Metal Man's weakness to his own weapon was written into the planning docs. It's a hidden trick. In the old days, if your game didn't have any secrets, it was difficult to get it featured in the various gaming magazines. This makes sense when you consider that other hidden secrets in NES games, such as the Warp Zone in Super Mario Bros. And the Konami Code, have become integral parts of gamer culture because of how frequently they were circulated. In addition, Metal Man's blades are canonically said to be made of ceramic titanium, or Ceratanium, a fictional alloy created by Dr. Light and used for many robots in the Mega Man Classic series. The closest real-life thing to Ceratanium is titanium carbide, an extremely hard ceramic material made of titanium and carbon, which can be used to make cutting tools that can cut through metal. So if we assume Metal Man's body is not made of Ceratanium, but instead of some other material, then it makes sense that Metal Man is weak to his own weapon. Airman is weak to the leaf shield because if a bunch of leaves get jammed in a fan motor, it can lead to overheating and damage to the gearing. Bubble Man is weak to the Metal Blade because bubbles are extremely fragile and can be popped by anything even remotely sharp, including the extremely sharp Metal Blades. Quickman is weak to the Time Stopper and the Crash Bomb. The Time Stopper is obvious. Quickman is constantly moving, so of course he'd be weak to a weapon that literally stops time because it would prevent him from moving. The Crash Bomb is less obvious, but it can be explained thusly. Quickman is so fast that he outruns even his own vision, causing him to crash into walls. Therefore, a weapon that sticks to walls would naturally prove effective against him. Crashman is weak to the Air Shooter because he jumps upward when you try to shoot him. So a weapon that moves upward, like the Air Shooter, would naturally be effective against him. Flashman is weak to the Metal Blade and the Crash Bomber because... boy, this is very difficult. The Crash Bomb can be explained as, Flashman has to stay in place for a while to stop time, and bombs work best on opponents that don't move much. And Flashman being weak to the Metal Blade may be a pun on the phrase, tearing a hole in the fabric of time. Heatman is weak to the Bubble Lead because water puts out a fire. Simple Pokemon level logic. Woodman is weak to the Atomic Fire and the Metal Blade. The Atomic Fire because, well, firewood, and the Metal Blade because metal blades are circular saw blades, and circular saws are commonly used to cut wood. Mega Man 3's bosses are divided into 2 neat and tidy weakness circles, which is neater and tidier than Mega Man 2, but not as neat and tidy as the complete circles of weaknesses we'll see in later games. Needleman is weak to the Gemini Laser because when you look at how he moves around in his arena, the Gemini Laser has the perfect trajectory to hit him. It may also be a pun on threading the needle. Gemini Man is weak to the Search Snake because, again, when you look at how he moves in his boss battle, running and jumping in a huge loop, the Search Snake, being a weapon that crawls across the ground, is able to hit him easily. Snake Man is weak to the Needle Cannon because, well, driving a proportionately large and sharp object through any animal, including a snake, would prove fatal if you do it in the right place. In addition, swallowing a sharp needle can lead to internal damage and a slow but painful death in small animals, who usually tend to inspect things with their mouths because their digestive systems are so much more tightly packed than our own. It's why I never let my cat get her paws on any of my sewing supplies. Magnet Man is weak to the Spark Shock because the function of a magnet is to pull anything with a charge opposite to the magnet's charge, so it only makes sense that a blast of electricity would neutralize his magnetic charge. Hardman is weak to the Magnet Missile because Hardman is made of very dense metal, and magnets stick to metal. Topman is weak to the Hard Knuckle because one way to stop a top from spinning is to knock it over or otherwise stop it with your hand. Shadow Man is weak to the top spin because part of what makes a ninja so stealthy and agile is having a good sense of balance, and spinning around a lot throws one's balance out of whack. Sparkman is weak to the Shadow Blade because, again, cutting electrical wires. Mega Man 4 returned to the neat and tidy weakness circle formula that Mega Man 1 had, which is refreshing. However, with these neat and tidy weakness circles, you'll start to see some weaker reasonings because some of these weaknesses are just there to keep the weakness cycle going. Drillman is weak to the dive missile because a robot built densely enough to drill through the earth is likely easier for homing missiles to lock onto. Though, when I was a kid, I assumed it was because Diveman is an underwater robot and Drillman is a subterranean robot, and there is more water on Earth than land. This is also why I thought ground types were weak to water types, by the way. Toadman is weak to the drill bomb because, again, small animal plus sharp object equals death. Brightman is weak to the rain flush because a heavy rainstorm can cause power outages. Also, exposure to water can short out electrical devices because water makes electricity stronger. Too strong for the device that holds the electricity to contain. Ferroman is weak to the flash stopper because he's constantly exploring dark, shady pyramids. And if someone is used to being in the dark, a sudden flash of bright light will often hurt their eyes. Again, this comes from personal experience. Ringman is weak to the Ferro Shot because Ferroman fires hot energy balls, which can melt through Ringman's metal rings. Dustman is weak to the Ring Boomerang because who would throw a gold ring in the garbage? Those things are expansive! Also, because gold is such a dense material, gold objects are hard to compact in trash compactors. Skullman is weak to the Dust Crusher for a variety of reasons. First of all, items made of bone need to be cleaned regularly, because foreign residues can cause them to deteriorate and crumble. The same is true for ivory, by the way. Ivory is made from animal teeth, after all, and teeth need to be regularly brushed. Second of all, it could be a reference to dusting off fossils. And finally, there's the expression, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, usually used at funerals, which fits with a robot based on a skeleton, a symbol of death. Diveman is weak to the skull barrier because of the expression, being buried at sea, since skulls are a common symbol of death and sailor lore often shows great amounts of beliefs and superstitions regarding luck to avoid such a fate. Also, skulls are commonly associated with pirates, and Diveman canonically doesn't like pirates. On to Mega Man 5. Gravity Man is weak to the star crash because there is no gravity in space. Also, stars themselves have a lot of gravity, which is why planets orbit around them. Gyroman is weak to the gravity hold because Gyroman is the first robot master capable of flight, and in order to fly, you need to produce enough lift to overcome gravity. Crystal Man is weak to the gyro attack because the gyro attack is a cutting blade type thing, which could reference cutting gemstones. Napalm Man is weak to the crystal eye because crystalline substances have been shown to neutralize the effects of napalm. Stone Man is weak to the napalm bomb because, as mentioned before, one of the best ways to break through stone is with explosives. Charge Man is weak to the power stone because a train cannot progress further if there are obstacles like large rocks in the way. Waveman is weak to the charge kick because, according to the Robot Master Field Guide, Waveman is rather vulnerable to melee attacks. The Robot Master Field Guide also says that Waveman is antisocial and not easily approachable, so what better way to defeat him than by getting up close and personal with him? Starman is weak to the water wave because stars are basically made out of fire and water puts out a fire. Mega Man 6 time! Blizzard Man is weak to the Flame Blast because fire melts ice. Again, this is Pokemon logic. Plant Man is weak to the Blizzard attack because a sudden snap of cold weather can cause plants to die. Tomahawk Man is weak to the plant barrier because flowers are a symbol of peace, and Tomahawk Man was built exclusively for fighting, thus being a symbol of war. Or at least, that's what MMKB says. This is one of the weaknesses that makes the least sense, and it has baffled fans for years. It really just exists to continue the weakness cycle. Yamato Man is weak to the Silver Tomahawk because, as anyone with any knowledge of the Fire Emblem weapon triangle can tell you, axes beat lances. Nightman is weak to the Yamato Spear because the sharp spearheads are able to go around his shield and pierce his armor. Centaur Man is weak to the Night Crusher because centaurs are half horse and knights ride horses. Windman is weak to the Centaur Flash because, yeah, this is another one that doesn't really make sense. Again, it's another one that really just exists to continue the weakness loop. Though to be fair, the Centaur Flash is a screen nuke weapon similar to the Gravity Hold for the previous game, and Windman is an air-based Robot Master similar to Gyro Man. And as I covered before, Gyro Man is weak to the Gravity Hold. Flame Man is weak to the Windstorm because blowing out candles. As a bonus, I'm including some of the side games, with this being one of them, so let me explain the Star Droid's weaknesses. Mercury is weak to the black hole because he melts down into several smaller blobs, and something that's in a bunch of little pieces would be easier to vacuum up. And a black hole is a vacuum. Pluto is weak to the grab buster because he's a cat, and cats usually don't like being picked up. I'm a cat owner. I would know this. Uranus is weak to the brake dash because his boss room is full of the very same blocks the brake dash can dash through. He also uses these blocks as projectiles, and what good is a projectile if your opponent can just break through it? Terra is weak to the deep digger because in most languages, the word for the planet Earth also means ground or soil or something of that nature. Thus, a weapon that digs deep into the ground would be effective against a star droid named after and based on the planet Earth. Neptune is weak to the Spark Chaser because the Spark Chaser is a homing weapon, and most anti-ship missiles use active radar homing. Mars is weak to the salt water for multiple reasons. First of all, highly metallic constructions like Mars himself are rather prone to corrosion by things like very salty water. Second, it could be a reference to the idea of terraforming the planet Mars by melting its ice caps, causing the planet to be flooded with water. Third, tanks can't drive across an ocean or any significantly deep body of water. Venus is weak to the photon missile because in Roman mythology, the goddess Venus cheated on her husband Vulcan because she found Mars so irresistible. So just as Mars was Venus's weakness in a metaphorical sense, Mars is Venus's weakness in a literal sense. Jupiter is weak to the bubble bomb because the bubble bomb travels upwards, and it would naturally make it easy for it to hit a robot that does a lot of flying around. Also, the bubble bomb is a weapon that uses soapy water bubbles, much like the ones you'd find in the bath, and you should never take a bath with an electric appliance. You will die! Saturn is weak to the electric shock because the electric shock is Jupiter's weapon, and in Roman mythology, the god Saturn was overthrown by his son Jupiter. Back to the main series with Mega Man 7. Let's go! Freezeman is weak to the junk shield because Freezeman was built to use non-polluting energy, and the junk shield is, well, junk. It's trash. Polluting stuff. Slashman is weak to the freeze cracker because he lives in a tropical jungle-type area, and people who live in hot and humid places like jungles are not at all accustomed to cold weather. Springman is weak to the slash claw because, this is another one where I have zero idea why this is. Again, it's likely to just keep the weakness cycle going. If I had to come up with a reason, I'd say it's because Springman seems to be a very lightweight robot, so a melee attack like the Slash Claw could easily knock him over. Shademan is weak to the Wild Coil because he spends most of his time during his boss battle flying, and the Wild Coil bounces up really high and is therefore good for defeating airborne enemies. Turboman is weak to the Noise Crush because of the effect of mufflers on car engines. Mufflers are designed to reduce noise on engines. However, a broken muffler can reduce engine efficiency and even damage the engine in some cases. Burstman is weak to the Scorch Wheel because bubbles can only form in environments with the right temperature and humidity. In a hot and dry area, for example, bubbles would just revert to their liquid form. Cloudman is weak to the Danger Wrap because, again, the Danger Wrap travels upwards, giving it a perfect trajectory to hit a floating foe like Cloudman. Junkman is weak to the Thunderbolt because he's held together by magnetic forces, and strong amounts of electricity can cause a magnet to lose its power. Mega Man 8, like Mega Man 3, has two neat and tidy weakness circles that do not intersect. Tengu Man is weak to the Ice Wave because Tengu are bird people, and birds don't typically like the cold. That's why they fly south for the winter. Clown Man is weak to the Tornado Hold because a strong wind can cause stunt performers like trapeze artists to lose their balance, which is why circuses were traditionally held inside tents, and why they're usually held in indoor amphitheaters nowadays. Grenade Man is weak to the Thunderclaw because it deflects bombs right back at him, and also because electricity and explosives are a dangerous combination. Frostman is weak to the Flash Bomb because, again, you could destroy ice easily with a bomb. Astroman is weak to the Homing Sniper because in sci-fi movies, spaceships usually take each other down by shooting at each other. It may also be a reference to how meteors are often referred to as shooting stars. Aquaman is weak to the Astro Crush because his internal water tanks are vulnerable to breakage from heavy impacts like the Astro Crush's meteors. Swordman is weak to the Water Balloon because his weapon is a sword that's on fire. Extinguish the fire with water and you're just left with a sword, which is still effective, but not nearly as effective as an extremely hot sword. Think regular knives versus those glowing 1000 degree knives you used to see in all those YouTube videos. Searchman is weak to the Flame Sword because snipers are trained to excel at ranged combat, so their skills in melee combat are typically subpar. In addition, Searchman hides in bushes that can be burned up with fire. Let's move on to another spin-off game. This time, it's Mega Man in Base. Tengu Man, again, is weak to the Spread Drill because birds can't burrow underground and because it knocks him out of the sky. Magic Man is weak to the Tengu Blade because he uses cards to attack, so using a cutting weapon against him is a reference to the phrase, cutting the deck. Astro Man, again, is weak to the Magic card because, according to the Robot Master Field Guide, Magic Man has started practicing the art of fortune telling, and some of the people that are most skeptical towards fortune tellers are science-type people. It may also be a reference to astrology, a form of fortune telling which uses the movements of the stars and planets to see the future. Of course, I'm a woman in my 20s, so I know all about astrology. Dynamo Man is weak to the Copy Vision because one of Dynamo Man's attacks involves throwing difficult-to-dodge balls of electricity at the player. If the player makes a copy with the Copy Vision, Dynamo Man will get confused and go after the copy instead of the player. Cold Man is weak to the Lightning Bolt because he's based on a fridge, and what do fridges run on? Electricity! Also, there's the whole ice equals water, water makes electricity stronger thing, displayed with how Iceman is weak to the Thunder Beam. Burner Man is weak to the Ice Wall because, again, cold negates heat. Pirate Man is weak to the Wave Burner because he's an explosive-themed robot master, and explosives don't react well to fire. Additionally, it could be a reference to the idea of burning the ships. Ground Man is weak to the Remote Mine because land mines would prevent him from digging underground. Back to the main series with Mega Man 9, another one of my personal favorites. Concrete Man is weak to the Laser Trident because he was built for dam construction. Dams are built to hold back water, and if the water level in the dam gets too high, the dam can break. Thus, it makes sense that a water-type weapon would be effective against Concrete Man. It could also be a reference to the fact that when you throw something made of concrete into the ocean, it sinks to the very bottom, which is where the trope of the mafia putting someone's feet in a barrel of concrete, letting it harden, and then throwing them into the nearest body of water comes from. Galaxy Man is weak to the concrete shot because he's a robot that flies around a lot. Concrete is very heavy, so it would weigh him down and prevent him from flying. Jewel Man is weak to the black hole bomb because it sucks up all the gems he has rotating around him, leaving him without any way to attack. Plug Man is weak to the Jewel Satellite because jewels come from the ground, which in turn references electrical grounding, in which electricity is redirected into the insulating dirt. This is again something that would make sense to you if you've played Pokemon, as that same logic is why the electric type is weak to the ground type. Tornado Man is weak to the Plug Ball because the higher up something is, the easier it is for it to get struck by lightning. Again, this will make sense to you if you've played Pokemon, as the flying type is weak to the electric type for similar reasons. Magma Man is weak to the Tornado Blow because, again, blowing out candles, and also magma hardens into rock, which can be eroded by air. Hornet Man is weak to the Magma Bazooka because smoke is a natural insect repellent, so bugs tend to avoid fire. Again, this will make sense to you if you've played Pokemon, because that's also why the bug type is weak to the fire type. In addition, Hornet Man's design, stage, and weapon are themed around bees, and beekeepers use smoke to calm down bees and prevent them from stinging, as it masks their alarm pheromones. So because the Magma Bazooka is made of fire and likely produces smoke, it makes Hornet Man's bees less aggressive and less likely to attack. Splash Woman is weak to the Hornet Chaser because Splash Woman spends much of the battle outside Mega Man's range, so a homing weapon like the Hornet Chaser proves very effective against her. Up next, it's Mega Man 10! Blade Man is weak to the Commando Bomb because archaic weapons like swords don't do much against modern weapons like missiles. Strike Man is weak to the Triple Blade because if you poke a ball with a knife, it will deflate and you can't use it anymore. Also, the Triple Blade fires 3 knives, so you could say it strikes the opponent 3 times. And in baseball, if you get 3 strikes, you're out. Sheep Man is weak to the Rebound Striker because bouncing balls are typically made of rubber, and rubber is an insulator. Pump Man is weak to the Thunderwool because, again, water makes electricity more powerful. Again, if you play Pokemon, this will make sense to you, as that logic is why water types are weak to electric types. Solar Man is weak to the Water Shield because if you get sunburned, what you're supposed to do to treat it is moisturize the skin, frequently take cool baths or showers, and drink lots of water. Water also prevents heat stroke and generally helps you keep cool on a hot sunny day. Thus, surrounding yourself with a shield made of water is a good way to defend yourself when up against a robot with the power of the sun. Also, water puts out a fire and the sun is made of fire. Chill Man is weak to the Solar Blaze because heat from the sun causes ice and snow to melt. Nitro Man is weak to the Chill Spike because A, sharp things can puncture tires, and B, when it's cold outside, the roads get all icy, and that makes it hard to drive, especially when you're driving a motorcycle. Commando Man is weak to the Wheel Cutter because the Wheel Cutter might be tungsten carbide or ceratanium, which could slice through his metal armor. Finally, we move on to Mega Man 11. Block Man is weak to the Chain Blast because bombs are often used to destroy buildings. Buildings that are often made of brick. Acid Man is weak to the Block Dropper because of acid bricks, a special type of brick that is highly resistant to chemicals. Impact Man is weak to the Acid Barrier because acid can melt through metal. Also, his weapon is one that gets up close and personal with opponents, so a barrier would be effective against him. Bounce Man is weak to the Pile Driver because, again, if you poke a rubber ball with something really sharp, it deflates and you can't use it anymore. Fuse Man is weak to the Bounce Ball because, again, rubber is an insulator. Tundra Man is weak to the Scramble Thunder because, again, ice equals water and water makes electricity stronger. Torch Man is weak to the Tundra-Storm because, again, cold negates heat. Also, the Tundra-Storm is a wind attack and, again, blowing out candles. Blast Man is weak to the Blazing Torch because, again, fire and explosives don't mix well. And because Capcom hasn't made any Mega Man games since Mega Man 11 in 2018 because they're lazy hacks! Sorry. As I was saying, that's all for the Robot Master weaknesses. Also, before you ask, I haven't played enough of the Mega Man X series to do a video like this with the Mavericks, and I've never played any games from the Zero, Battle Network Legends, or Star Force series. My Mega Man knowledge is mostly restricted to the classic series. Call me a fake fan all you want, but I don't care. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you liked it, or are just impressed by my huge hair, be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, stay stylish.